Pain is temporary, but purpose is forever. You've got to get that in your head. Because right now, some of you are allowing a temporary emotion to make a permanent choice. You're tired, you're frustrated, and you're thinking about submitting. But listen, when I say this, your emotions will pass, your purpose won't. You see, the issue is most people get pain and punishment confused. They believe because it's painful, something's amiss. Nah, the hurt ain't there to halt you. It's there to mold you. That ache you feel at the moment, that is growth. That is you expanding into the person you claimed you wanted to be. You prayed for heights, correct. You prayed for success, correct. Well, this is the process that constructs the you that can survive it. Each dream, each aspiration, each triumph, they all cost pain in the middle. That's the price you pay to get on the bridge from average to greatness. You can't pray around it, can't wish it away. You got to trudge through it. You got to struggle through it. Because what's waiting for you on the other side of that pain is the power you've been seeking. I recall sleeping in empty buildings, starving, shattered, lost. It was painful. It wasn't glamorous. No one was applauding. No one was cheering for me. But I knew if I give up, that hurt becomes a permanent thing. If I push through, that hurt becomes purpose. So I pushed. I believed. And that same hurt that attempted to destroy me became the building block I used to construct my entire life upon. Listen to me. Each time you think about quitting, that's your purpose testing you. It's saying, how bad do you really want it? Because if you can push through the pain, if you can keep going when you don't see results, when you don't feel strong, when you don't have support, that's when you're becoming dangerous. That's when life begins to move for you. But too many of you hit stop just on the other side of the breakthrough. You tell me, it's too difficult, I can't do it anymore. And you know what? I understand. Pain sucks. Exhaustion is real. But you have to break from viewing pain as the enemy and begin to view it as proof. Proof that you're still fighting. Proof that you're still alive. Proof that you still care enough to give it another try. You desire that next level. You have to work for it in suffering. You want to be great, you have to withstand something. Because greatness is not handed over, it's made. Made in the late nights, early mornings, the hidden tears. Made in the times when your body demands that you stop, but your soul compels you forward. So when it hurts, don't flee. Go in. Let it shape you. Let it instruct you. Because eventually, you're going to sit back and understand that the same pain you despised turned into the motivation you needed to make it work. That's when it all clicks. That's when purpose comes full circle. Pain is temporary. It may last a minute, an hour, a day, maybe even a year, but eventually it will pass. And when it passes, something greater will replace it. But if you quit, that pain persists forever. So stop running. Stop making excuses. Stop allowing tired to dictate your destiny. Embrace the grind. Embrace the process. Because purpose waits on the horizon, and the only way to arrive there is by enduring the pain. You tell me you're tired. I understand. You've been grinding, coming in and day out, giving everything you have, and your body's crying out for respite. But let me tell you something, tired don't mean done. You can be spent, you can be drained, but until there's breath in your body, you're not done. See, the devil likes to whisper when you're exhausted. That's when doubt enters. That's when excuses become sound. Maybe I need a break. Maybe I'm not meant for this. But you have to remember, being exhausted is part of the process. It's evidence that you're putting in the work. It's evidence that you're in the game. Everyone gets exhausted. The champions, the legends, the greats. The difference is they don't allow exhausted to make decisions for them. They don't mix up exhaustion with lastness. They understand the body may be depleted, but the spirit is indomitable. When they strike that wall, they don't step back. They shift gear. You ever wonder how a lion hunts? It does not quit when it gets tired. It quits when it's full. And some of you have quit before you have eaten. You've quit before you have earned it. You've quit halfway up the mountain because your legs ache. But let me remind you, the view from the top only to those who continue climbing after they are tired. I recall grinding in the dark, late nights when I was about to quit, when I was convinced that I had nothing left. But I learned something very strong. The human body can go much further than what the mind thinks. You believe you're finished at 40%. That's what exhaustion does. It deceives you into stopping too early. But when you look deep down, when you push beyond that threshold, you find a strength you never knew you had. Tired is not the signal to quit. It's the signal that the work is working. That's your muscles breaking down so they can rebuild stronger. That's your mind adapting, your spirit evolving. Every ounce of fatigue is just evidence that you're getting closer. But here's the real talk. Most people never find out what's on the other side of tired because they stop there. They stop when it's inconvenient. They stop when it hurts. And that's why they stay average. Greatness begins after you're tired. The grind doesn't even start until you've got nothing left and still find a way to give more. You've got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable. You've got to condition your mind to the fact that done does not equal I'm exhausted. Done equals I completed the mission. Done equals I gave it everything on the field. Once you change that mentality, once you quit letting fatigue control your movements, you become invincible. Because the truth is, being tired is just your body's way of asking, how bad do you want this? Are you willing to keep going when the energy's gone, when nobody's watching, when everything in you says stop? That's when your character is revealed. So the next time you're exhausted, the next time you need to tap out, keep this in mind. Tired don't mean done. Tired means it's working. Tired means you're close. Tired means keep going. You don't quit because you're tired. You quit because you're finished. You quit because you conquered it. You quit because you won. So when that fatigue starts creeping in, smile. Because that's when most people give up. And that's where you take your stand. That's where the champions are born. You're exhausted. Good, that means you're in exactly the right place. Now work harder. You can't construct greatness on emotions. You construct it on discipline. You see, emotions are unreliable. One day you want to do it, the next day you don't. One day you wake up on fire, the next day you don't even feel like getting out of bed. But discipline don't care how you feel. Discipline says, I made a promise and I'm going to keep it no matter what. That's where the majority of individuals fail. They're true to their feelings, not their aspirations. They allow how they feel determine how diligently they work. You can't do that and win. You can't confess you want greatness, but only appear when it's comfortable. You can't confess you want success and then bypass the hustle because you're not in the mood. You understand what makes the average the elite? Discipline. Emotion quotes, I'm exhausted. Discipline it done. Emotion quotes, too early. Discipline quotes, go time. Emotion quotes, it's not right. Discipline quotes, we adapt and we press. You get it? Discipline does not haggle. It acts. I recall when I was struggling with nothing, no funds, no luxury, no plan B, and I had all the reasons to give up. But I said to myself, you ain't got to feel it to do it. There were mornings I didn't want to speak. There were days I didn't want to wake up. But I did anyway because purpose doesn't wait on feelings. You either show up or you miss your moment. Let me share something with you. Emotion is a liar. Emotion will get you to think you can't when you can. It'll tell you that you're finished when you've still got 60% in the tank. Emotion will rationalize you out of your blessings. That's why discipline is so strong, it shuts that noise up. Discipline says, I committed when I was in the mood, and I'm going to follow through on that commitment even when I'm not. You believe Kobe liked getting up at 4 a.m. every morning. You believe Jordan liked plugging away through injuries. You believe Serena liked practicing when no one was looking. No. But they knew something. If you work only when you want to, you'll never be great. Discipline is showing up even when your feelings say no. Discipline is consistency. It's getting the little things right day in and day out until the big things sort themselves out. It's getting up and moving one foot forward in front of the other when there isn't a fire there. Because you know the fire follows the action, not precedes it. You see, emotion is fleeting. Discipline is forever. Emotion disappears. Discipline creates habits. And habits create legacies. You want to transform your life? Don't pursue motivation. Create discipline. Motivation is a spark. Discipline is the engine. So when you wake up and you don't want to grind, you don't want to work, you don't want to push, do it anyway. That's the time your future self is observing. That's the time that declares who you are. Because when you respond with discipline over feeling, you're saying to life, I'm the one who controls this. My mission drives this. My vision drives this. You're not going to feel like it every day, and that's okay. Winners don't need feelings to function. Winners move on faith, focus, and follow through. Every decision you make at this point, every step, every action, every sacrifice, your future self is seeing. The you that will be 5 years from now is riding on what you decide today. You think that this grind is only about now? No, this grind is about the man or woman you are becoming. See, the largest error most people make is that they live for today and only today. They allow the hurt of today blind them to the hope of tomorrow. But listen to me, your future self is counting on you not to give up. Every time you opt for discipline instead of comfort, every time you stand up when it'd be easier to quit, you're putting money into that future who's going to be grateful for you not giving up. When you're exhausted, when you're in frustration, when you don't see things happening, don't think about the short-term pain. Think about the future reward. Imagine that version of you crossing that stage, starting that business, living that dream. They only happen if you keep showing up now. Let me ask you a question. What are you teaching your future self? Are you teaching them how to struggle, how to persevere, how to conquer? Or are you teaching them how to quit when things are hard? Because everything you do today becomes their foundation. Your future self will either survive on your sacrifice or die on your excuses. I think about when I was struggling, sleeping in empty buildings, trying to make sense of it all, and there were some nights that I just wanted to give up bad. But I was like, you can't give up. Your future wife and kids need you. The people you need to inspire need you. I wasn't working hard for the minute. I was working hard for the man I was becoming. And whenever I pushed forward, I was constructing him piece by piece. You got to begin thinking of your future like that. Because someday you're going to encounter the version of you that you constructed. And you got to ask yourself, will they thank me or will they hate me? When you miss that workout, when you blow off that chance, when you put off that goal, it's not just you suffering the cost. It's them, the future you, the one who trusted you to do what you told them you were going to do. Your future self is paying attention to how you deal with fatigue, paying attention to how you deal with obstacles, paying attention to how you deal with failure. Because that's where character is created. That's where destiny is shaped. Stop living as if time is infinite. You don't get this moment back. Every day you procrastinate, every opportunity you waste, you're stealing from your future. You're robbing your own potential. And for what? Comfort, convenience, temporary gratification. Nah, no longer. From now on, you grind for the version of yourself that's standing at the finish line. The one who's proud, the one who's successful, the one who made it. That version is watching every rep, every choice, every sacrifice. They're saying, don't stop now. Don't you dare quit. We're almost there. So when you're tired, remember, it's not just about you. You're not grinding for today. You're grinding for tomorrow. You're building generational impact. You're creating a life that's bigger than your emotions. And when that better version of you finally comes, tall, free, doing the things you once merely dreamed of, you'll look back on this season, this minute, this hurt, and you'll say, I'm glad I didn't give up. I'm glad I remained disciplined. I'm glad I persevered when I was fatigued. Everyone desires to shine under the spotlight, but no one desires to grind in secret. Everyone desires the claps, the appreciation, the triumph, but no one wants to give the price when no one's watching. You realize champions are forged in private. The party is done in public, but the training is done in silence. That's the catch with the majority of folks. They adore the concept of greatness, but don't love the process that builds it. They wish for the outcome without the reps, the awards without the sweat, the accolades without the effort. But let me tell you something, you can't emulate the grind. You can't shortchange consistency. The effort you put in when nobody's looking always ends up making an appearance when everybody's observing. When you witness a champion raising that trophy, when you witness a thriving entrepreneur reaching that milestone, when you witness someone walking in their purpose, you're witnessing the outcome, not the practice. What you failed to notice were the 5 a.m. mornings, the late evenings, the skipped parties, the sacrifices. You didn't notice the times they fell and rose up, the moments they silently wept but kept showing up. That's what champions do. They work when no one is applauding. They grind when no one is watching. They remain disciplined in secret so they can overtake the public. You've got to learn to fall in love with the unseen labor. You've got to be okay with the quiet seasons, the lonely seasons, the nobody believes in me seasons. Because that's where the magic happens. That's where your craft is honed. Your mindset is fortified. Your spirit is refined. I say to people constantly, the grind isn't glamorous. You're awake at 3 a.m. editing videos, learning, creating, building. Nobody sends you a good job text. Nobody's giving you a pat on the back. But that's fine, because that's the part they don't see. That's the part that makes you different from everyone else. Let me get real with you. When you're grinding alone, it's easy to begin doubting. You begin wondering, man, is this even worth it? Nobody's paying attention. Nobody's behind me. But that's when you need to remind yourself this ain't about validation. This is about preparation. You're not working for approval. You're working for alignment with your purpose. Every rep, every practice, every late night is a deposit into your destiny. You're stacking consistency so when the opportunity finally comes, you're ready. Because opportunities don't go to the most talented, they go to the most prepared. Kobe would shoot thousands of shots before the game had even begun. Jordan would arrive at the gym first and leave last. Why? Because when the lights came on, they wanted the world to witness what they had already practiced 1,000 times in secret. The show wasn't magic. It was muscle memory created through discipline. That's how you're going to have to operate. Stop waiting for the stage to begin performing. Stop waiting for the applause to begin putting in the work. Grind now, quietly, in the shadows, behind the scenes. Because one day, that quiet preparation will catch public opportunity and the world will be calling it luck. But you'll recognize it was never luck. It was the grind. It was the late nights, the early mornings excuses. Everyone's got one. I'm tired. I don't have time. I don't have money. I don't have the right connections. But here's the thing. Excuses don't burn calories, build businesses, or make legacies. Excuses don't push you forward. Excuses hold you back to mediocrity. You can't hustle and excuse yourself at the same time. One will end the other. Either your hustle will shut down your excuses, or your excuses will shut down your hustle. You have a choice as to which one will prevail. See, excuses work. They feel good right now because they excuse you. They give you permission to quit. But each time you excuse yourself, you take away from yourself. Each time you say, I can't, you create a wall between where you are and where you should be. You tell me you desire success, but success doesn't listen to excuses. It hears execution. You tell me you desire the body, the business, the dream, but all of those do not care how you feel. Success only appreciates consistency, effort, and outcome. Hear me out. You can't complain your way to greatness. You can't rationalize your way to legacy. You can't mouth your way into transformation. You got to put in the work, period. And I get that life ain't fair. I get it's tough. I get sometimes you're doing all the right things, and it still feels like you're being held back. But that ain't no excuse. That's just life. You can either use it as an excuse or use it as a mold. When I was homeless, I had every excuse under the sun to just quit. I could have said, you don't have a place to sleep. You don't have support. You don't have resources. But I learned early, excuses don't pay bills. Excuses don't feed your family. Excuses don't change your situation. Action does. You think the greats got where they are by making excuses? Nah, they found reasons to keep going. They turned every obstacle into fuel. They looked at the same problems everyone else complained about and said, I'm going to find a way. That's what separates winners from whiners. Because here's the thing, while you're making excuses, someone else with less resources, less support, and more hurt is out there getting things done. They're pushing through what you're grumbling about. They're creating their dream while you're telling everyone why you can't. Excuses ring true to the one giving them. They calm your ego, but they ruin your destiny. They make you feel good, but they rob you of greatness. Each time you make excuses for your failure to work, you postpone your breakthrough. You wish to transform your life. Ditch the excuses. Swap them for action. Instead of "I don't have time," speak "I will find time." Instead of "I can't," speak "How can I?" Change your thinking to one of limitation to leadership. Stop responding to problems, begin attacking them. Because one day you're going to look at your life and you're either going to see results or regrets. And the choice between the two. Excuses. No legacy has ever been made on almost. No dream has ever been accomplished with someday. You got to choose. Are you going to make excuses or are you going to make history? So the next time you are tempted to quit, the next time you find yourself uttering, "I can't," remember, excuses don't shift mountains. Excuses don't transform lives. Excuses don't create legacies. Effort does. Consistency does. Grind does. So eliminate the excuses. Get up earlier, work harder, stay later. Do whatever it takes. Because when it's all said and done, your excuses won't matter. But your results will speak forever. The discipline nobody saw. That's what champions are built on. Success isn't about who's the brightest. Success isn't about who's the best equipped, the most talented, or the most popular. Success, true success, a fight of will, not talent. Because let's face it, there's always someone better than you. Someone quicker, wealthier, better connected, better educated. But talent don't intimidate me. You know why? Because talent gives up when things get hard, skill fatigues, but will keeps going when everything else closes down. See, willpower is that flame that burns even when the fuel has been exhausted. It's that voice in the background saying, "I can't quit now. I've traveled too far. You can't learn that. You can't pretend that. You can't purchase that." Will is what appears when comfort departs. The world is full of gifted individuals who never amounted to anything. Not because they were incapable, but because they wouldn't. They possessed the ability, but they lacked the passion. They desired the prize, but did not want to struggle for it. Hear me out. All of your dreams, all of your aspirations are going to put your will to the test. Life is going to slap you around. It's going to knock you down on the ground. And that's when it becomes real. That's when life asks you, how bad do you want it? Because it's not hard to grind when life's going well. But when everything falls apart, that's when the strong are filtered from the weak. You don't require more talent. You require more fight. You need to get up each morning with the mindset that says, "I may not be the best, but I'll outlast the best." Because the person who won't quit will always defeat the one who will. I've seen people with half the skill dominate people with twice the ability, simply because they wouldn't stop. They didn't fold when they were tired. They didn't break when it got hard. They stayed in the ring when everyone else walked away. That's what success requires. Not perfection, but perseverance. Not ease, but steadiness. The grind doesn't care how well you're doing. It cares only about how long you'll last. When I was pursuing my passion, I was not the most eloquent speaker. I did not possess the largest platform, but I possessed will. I had that immovable. I'm not going anywhere until I win spirit. And that is what sustained me when all else failed. You got to create that same spirit, because when you have will, you can get through anything. You can be poor, exhausted, doubted, ignored, and still manage. Willpower will carry you to the finish line when talent can't even make it. Stop reminding yourself you need more resources. You don't need more. You need more determination. You don't need to be perfect. You need to be persistent. Because the reality is the grind don't pay the most talented. It pays the most determined. So next time life knocks you down, I don't want you to dwell on how hard you fell. I want you to dwell on how quickly you get up. That's will. That's heart. That's the difference between winners and wishers. You don't require the entire world to have faith in you. Just you. You don't require the best plan, just the correct mentality. You don't require talent to begin, just the determination to continue. Because success is war, and the one who succeeds is the one who won't give up. Hear me out. There is a distinction between resting and quitting. Far too many confuse the two. They tire, they lag behind, and before they even notice, They have ceased all movement altogether. But champions understand how to rest with purpose, not remorse. See, rest is not the opposite of the grind. It's a part of it. You can't pour out of an empty cup. You can't lead, build, create, or inspire when you're on fumes. But the problem is how you rest. Because rest without purpose becomes regression. Rest without purpose becomes procrastination. When you rest on purpose, you rest to recharge and not to retreat. You use that time to recover, to refocus, to get your spirit in line again. You step back, not to flee from the work, but to return sharper, stronger, hungrier. Most individuals don't understand that. They sleep because they tire of trying, not because they are setting up to push further. They sleep to escape pain, not to ready themselves for progress. That is the difference between the elite and the average. The average sleep to get out of pressure. The elite sleep to master it. I remember there were times I was exhausted, traveling, speaking, grinding nonstop. And my body said, slow down. But when I rested, I wasn't just laying around. I was meditating. I was praying. I was planning my next move. I wasn't escaping the mission. I was strategizing my comeback. That's what rest with purpose looks like. See, if you rest improperly, momentum is lost. You take a rest that becomes a habit. A nap becomes a day off becomes a week becomes a rut. And now you're sitting there asking yourself why your fire's gone out. It's because you allowed your rest to become retreat. But when you sleep straight, rest is fuel. You unplug to recharge. You catch your breath to breathe fuller when it's time to move again. That's why you need to be deliberate. Rest like a warrior, not a worrier. Think about it like this. A lion hunts hard, but it also rests hard. After the kill, it doesn't waste energy pacing around. It conserves strength knowing another hunt is coming. That's how you gotta move. Work hard, rest smart, repeat. You do not rest because you are weak. You rest because you are wise. You rest because you know longevity is constructed on rhythm. Grind and recover, push and pull, fight and breathe. That's how champions remain consistent year after year. So when you do take that break, take it on purpose. Read something that nourishes your mind. Sit in silence to clear your head. Consider how far you've progressed and where you're going next. Don't squander your recovery. Invest in it. But the moment you sense that energy return, that fire rekindle, don't remain in dormancy. Move. Move quickly. Move forcefully. Because purpose isn't waiting for the optimal timing. It awaits your next choice. Rest with purpose is when you stop to recharge, not to surrender. You press reset so you can press harder. You take a break for a second, not because you're finished, but because your next level demands more from you. Don't ever feel guilty for resting. Feel guilty for wasting it. Rest with strategy, rest with vision, rest with a plan. Because when you rest right, your comeback is inevitable. And when others ask you how you continue year after year, you can meet their eye and say, because I don't rest in regret, I rest in purpose. Pressure? That's the word that divides average from great. Because when pressure comes, when life presses in on you, when everything seems like it's closing in on you, that's when you know who you're really made of. Pressure doesn't lie. It reveals. It refines. Everybody loves to talk about shining like a diamond, but nobody wants to go through what a diamond goes through. Diamonds don't come from comfort. They come from crushing. They come from being buried deep underground, under heat, under weight, under time. And guess what? That same pressure that creates diamonds is the same pressure that turns weak things into dust. So when pressure enters your life, you've got two options, fold or form. You can fold under it, or you can be shaped by it. You choose. Because pressure doesn't break people. It shows what they're made of. You tell me you want to be great, then become comfortable being uncomfortable. Because greatness is not born in spacious rooms. It's born in constraint and struggle and challenge. The moment you say, this is too much, that's the moment when life is testing your ability. It's saying, can you endure what you prayed for? And C, pressure is evidence that you're near something. The enemy don't assault what ain't a threat. The pressure you're feeling now, that's the pressure of your purpose pushing through. You're being shaped into something stronger. I've experienced that pressure. Nights when everything was coming apart. Times when I had no clue how I was going to survive. But it was in those times that I developed the most, because pressure made me grow. Pressure made me dig deep, stop whining, and get to becoming. You can't escape pressure. It's all part of the process. But you can dictate your reaction. You can let it destroy you or build you up. You can panic or you can deliver. When life is heavy, that's your cue to come higher. When the world says slow down, that's your time to lock in. Because pressure ain't punishment, it's preparation. It's the universe asking, can I trust you with more? All great leaders, all champions, all success stories have one thing in common: they didn't shy away from pressure. They leaned into it. They allowed it to teach them, mold and humble them. They learned to breathe under pressure that would have destroyed most people. You want to be as bright as a diamond. Then, for goodness' sake, stop whining about the heat. Stop bawling about the pressure. Learn to thank it, because that pressure is making you unbreakable. That heat is crafting your brilliance. You can't have the shine without the struggle. Pressure disciplines you. It humbles you. It toughens you. When you've been through the fire and didn't fall away, you walk differently. You talk differently. You lead differently. Because you know, if I made it through that, I can make it through anything. And so the next time life turns the heat up, don't freak out, deliver. Don't gripe, move. Repeat after me. I'm being refined at this moment. I'm turning into the diamond that I prayed to become. Because pressure only pressurizes what wasn't made to hold up. But you were made to stand up, to hold up, to excel. So don't be afraid of the burden, own it. Let the pressure shape you, not bend you. Because when the process is over, when the fire cools and the dust settles, the world's going to look at you and say, that one's a diamond. Everybody's so eager to talk about winning, but nobody's willing to talk about what it takes. Because the real test doesn't show up when you're doing good, when you're motivated, when everything's going well. The true test arises when you are exhausted, when your strength's used up, your trust is tenuous, and everything within you shouts, I just can't do this anymore. That's when the test starts. When you are exhausted, that's when you discover what you are made of. Because anyone can arrive when it's easy. Anyone can hustle when you're feeling refreshed. But when the alarm clock rings after 2 hours of sleep, when you have given everything and life still shakes you again, then you discover who you actually are. That instant right there, that breaking point, that's where greatness is created. You're not made by how you behave when you're strong. You're made by how you act when you're weak. When your body's screaming no, but your heart is whispering yays. I've been there. I've stood at the edge, exhausted in my mind, exhausted in my spirit, exhausted in my body. I've had times where I've wondered, is it worth it? And every time that little voice inside reminded me, this is the test. This is what distinguishes the talkers from the doers, the dreamers from the achievers. You see, fatigue is a sieve. It separates the pretender from the loyal one. It shows you who's really dedicated. Because when you're exhausted, you can no longer pretend. The genuine article comes out, and the genuine ones continue to push. When you're exhausted, you don't need motivation. You need to recall why you began. You need to recollect who you vowed you'd grow up to be. You need to recollect that there is someone out there expecting you not to quit. That's why you can't quit. You can rest, you can breathe, but you can't quit. Because the test is not there to destroy you. It's there to strengthen you. It's there to determine if your dedication can withstand exhaustion. The reality is, your breakthrough comes right after your breaking point. That's why the majority of individuals never get there. They stop a little too soon. They quit when they're exhausted, unaware that's precisely the moment they were about to triumph. So when you hit the wall, when your legs are weighed down, when your head is yelling, enough, that's your cue to search deeper. That's the portion of the race between winners and spectators. That's where champions are born. Consider it, every marathon contains that spot around mile 20 when your body is ready to give up. But the champions, they know that's where it's real. That's where they transition from muscle to mentality. That's where they run not by their legs, but by their heart. And that's the way you got to live. You can't grind when it's convenient. You got to grind when it hurts. You got to grind when you don't even see the fruits of it. You got to grind when nobody's looking When nobody's applauding, when it seems like the world has forgotten your name. Because when you're exhausted, when your back is against the wall, when you're out of gas, that's when God, the universe, life itself is saying, do you still want it? That's the moment that separates you from everybody else. So don't quit when you're tired. Concentrate. Don't quit. Commit. Don't flee from the test. Rise above it. Because when you're tired, you're not finished. You're forging. You're building something unshakable inside you. And when the storm clears, when the world sees what you've become, they'll understand that's not just strength, that's soul, that's will, that's greatness. So the next time you think you can't make it, recall this tired isn't the end. It's the start of your legend. Listen to me. Everything you've ever dreamed of is on the other side of tired. Every goal, every breakthrough, every dream, it's waiting for the version of you who won't quit when you're tired. Yes, it's tough. Yes, it's painful. But you weren't designed for easy. You were designed for endurance. You were designed for pressure. You were designed for purpose. The world doesn't remember the ones who started strong. It remembers the ones who finished. The ones who pushed when there was nothing left in the tank. The ones who turned I can't into I will. The ones who made the decision to grind harder when everyone else gave in. You believe you're exhausted. Well, that's good. That indicates you're in the right location. That signifies you're reaching beyond boundaries the previous you was not able to manage. That signifies expansion is taking place. That signifies your breakthrough is close. When you're exhausted, push harder. When you're weak, reach deeper. When it stings, keep pushing. Because exhausted doesn't mean you're finished. It means you're being pushed to your limit. And when you survive that challenge, you become the best version of yourself. So starting today, no excuses, no backing down, no half effort. You've come too far to quit now. The grind does not cease when you are exhausted. It ceases when you are complete. It ceases when you have left every last thing on the table. And when that happens, when you finally reach that finish line, when the spotlight hits and the world begins to applaud, you'll know it wasn't talent, it wasn't chance, it wasn't timing, it was will. So stand up, wipe the sweat off, square your shoulders, and tell it with me. When I'm exhausted, I grind more, because that's what sets the legends apart from everyone else. That's what makes you unstoppable. That's what converts your hurt into strength. So don't let not having skills hold you back. Don't let the pain hold you up. Outgrind them, outlast them, outwill them. Because ultimately, talent gets you going, but will wins the race. So keep grinding when it's silent. Keep believing when it's darkest. Keep fighting when no one cares. Because your moment is arriving. And when the lights finally shine on you, when the world finally notices what you've been working on, they'll label you a champion. But you'll know the truth. The party didn't create you. The solo grind did. Because all the choices that you're making right now are molding that individual. So ensure the future you can look back and proudly say, you did it. So stop allowing your feelings to control your execution. You're exhausted. Do it exhausted. You're angry. Do it anyway. You don't feel inspired. That's okay. Be disciplined. Because ultimately feelings pass away, but discipline creates a legacy that never dies.